Okay. Well, welcome. So yeah, I felt so upset about the stolen phone. I got a new phone today. So we are filming on the um, Google Pixel 8. So if you like the footage here, this is what we're filming on. I like this camera a lot. The Pixel is my favorite camera actually to use. Mm. I've been using it for like everything. I love it. It's great. Um, Anyway, I have one topic, okay, that I want to cover tonight. There's other topics that I'm gonna spend a little more time like writing about so that it makes a little bit more sense. But tonight, oh man, we are going on a rant about the false outrage for Beyonce and Taylor Swift not speaking out about what's going on with Israel and Palestine and Hamas. Oh, geez. So, first of all, before I say anything else, I have an entire video that's not really edited. It was just kind of, I was really drunk at night, but I actually wrote quite a few notes on this. So it was like the first day, I think this was like October 7th when Israel was first attacked and people like celebrities started speaking out about it. And the first thing that I was thinking is like, where is Kim Kardashian? Like, what? If there's any one issue, right, that these people continue to like bring forth is that like they don't consider themselves like fully what they're like Armenian, right? Armenia isn't that like smack dab in the Middle East. Boom. Okay, so one issue that they could potentially get behind if they were actually in support of like their culture or whatever. Then I started reading a little bit about Armenia, and I'm not sure about this, but it seems like Armenians consider themselves to be Europeans. So maybe that's why, but still they're in the Middle East, and this is like a conflict that is directly impacting Middle Easterners. And I gotta be, let's be serious. There's a lot of like people on planet Earth right now who look very similar to Kim Kardashian who are dying. So, I mean, if we're talking just about blank similarities here, if you had one group that you should probably speak up for, if you cared about like any issue at all, this would be the one. But I don't know. Then there's a whole other side because, like, I do feel like Kim Kardashian has transcended into Americanness, and that's where we bring in Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Now, the notes that I have on this are that basically Beyonce is a Creole Black American, and Taylor Swift is a WASP from Pennsylvania. WASPs are like white American, like Protestant people. I don't know if actually Taylor Swift has ever proclaimed a religion, but I would it feels like it'd probably be safe to say that she's like a Christian. Mm. So yeah, I mean if there was any conflict that has nothing to do with either of those groups, it would be this one. Like this is actually one particular like political event that has absolutely nothing to do with black Americans or white Americans for the first time. Y'all can say whatever you want about Jews being white, but I feel like Jews kind of everyone really understands how Jews are very distinct from whiteness. And I feel like it's something as time goes on a little bit further and Americana becomes more like interracial and we have all this multiculturalism, all of you very quickly will start to understand what whiteness is and what whiteness is not as more immigrants come here who believe that they are white, who get this reality check that they are not, which is kind of another video. I think Julian Steve might make another video about this where he's talking about like people are upset because there's not that many like Latin American groups who are nominated for the Grammys this year, and people feel like they're snubbed. So the Grammys, like, if you guys believe it or not, this is a category that's supposed to be. This is the whole music organization, like Universal Music Group. All those things are based in like America, so we have to talk about like shit that's popping in America. They have like small sectors, right? Like they had the Afro sector, then they had like the Latina, Urbana sector, right? But like it doesn't really matter how great like your music is doing globally. It wouldn't even make sense if like you were recognized on an American Music Award show, the Grammys, to be like, yes, this artist that's in like Thailand is just way more talented than everyone else that's in America. That wouldn't even make sense. Especially if like nobody in America is like listening to it like that, and like that is just not the case. Like all these like Latinidad artists that I'm not saying that they're not popping. Like Bad Bunny, for instance, great artist. His numbers are incredible, and that's another thing that I've been trying to make clear for so long. A lot of parts of Latin America are so developed. They're like almost not the developing world. They are, but they are not like Venezuela. People in so you know how like Mr. Beast had to make that video where he was like building wells in Africa. That's because people in Africa need water. Like they don't have water or electricity yet. Like they're seriously developing. But like Latin America, they have like water, electricity, apartments, colleges. They have like all the shit. There's really no reason why their economy is not thriving besides like their own people just not having the intellect or really not being able to compete. And it's not because like a whole bunch of Africans are there. Like that's just not the case. Like it's literally Latin America, which is full of like Latin American people. Like explain it, like make it makes they can have their own Grammys and then they could be fine. Like, and this is the same thing I actually saw Megan Kelly talking about this. She was like, well, if the Palestinians want to like live amongst the other Palestinians, they can do that in Palestine and bring all their culture from. I completely agree with this sentiment. Like if you are a person who's like so pro your like ethnicity, your religion, your race, whatever, you actually should go back to like wherever it is that you came from. But that's not the case in America. America is a melting pot. That's what it is. Like it will never be like all white or like all black or all any one particular group. It will just never be like that, or it will cease to be America. But you can also say like, hey, I see America for what it is and I don't like it. Like you can feel that way. That's real. And then you could go back. Like, so that's another reason I just think it's like super strange that like, you know, Latino people are upset. Anyway, let's get back to Beyonce and Taylor Swift because they've done something that's kind of incredible, which I feel like other people just don't understand. American women specifically, because they're like this, like women are just like a marginalized protected group. Why? Because women are weaker, women have to give birth, women have like reproductive rights, like women are at a very high risk for like rape and sexual exploitation, all these things that are pretty close to death. Like women make a wrong move and then they die. Like men, on the other hand, it's just like, you know, they're just like out in the world. Like I'm not saying people aren't stealing grown men, but for the most part, people aren't stealing grown men. Anyway, so like Beyonce and Taylor Swift get to be like American women who have like social issues, who have like emotional distress, okay, who have like all these things going for them where they're like suffering from marital problems, boyfriend drama, you know, drama with other women or not, friendships with other women. They get to complain about having friendship. You do realize that in other parts of the world, because people are in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, people are on the lower end of that triangle. Okay, like Taylor Swift, Emma Chamberlain, they're all operating at like the top, that little purple section at the top. So listen to their music to understand the shit that they're suffering from. Most women of color, even black women in America, are operating at like yellow. The people in Palestine are operating at, I think it was in the bottom like red. Like there is a like a hierarchy here. I don't know where it is that you are on the hierarchy, but you know. Anyway, it's just madness though, because I feel like another. So let's go back for a second though. What does this have to do with the religion, abortion, and Christianity once again, and marriage really? Taylor Swift and Beyonce are both basically, they have both created brands for and of themselves where like they are the brand, and they are like literally teaching you like play by play how to be an American woman and how to win at American values for females, for females. This doesn't really have to do with males at all, just for females. And it kind of transcends beyond race a little bit. Like just for American females, like you could actually attempt to live your life by those sort of values in a sense. And so like they don't have to care about Palestine or Israel or world conflicts because there are men who are going to fight wars to make sure that they are safe. And that's going to continue to happen. You're not going to bomb up like Beyonce or Taylor Swift. It isn't going to happen. Because they're like the most powerful. They have the most money. And like it's as a trickle down effect, they are on the American team. They just are. They are. They care about America. Like I don't feel that way. I personally empathize with what's happening with Palestinians and with Israelis, okay? Because I don't think that my American human life is worth more than theirs. I just don't. But the fact might be that it is because of my birthright. And in gross economics, even though I personally, in terms of my value for human life, I don't assign my life to be worth more than a Palestinian kid. But in terms of global economics right now, it just is. I can buy more with my dollars. I can have more choices, and I make those choices, and I take those opportunities, and I do what the fuck I want. Those kids can't do that. They can't even go down certain streets. They just can't. And that's how it is. That's how it is. And that sucks. That's so evil, and it sucks, and it's not fair. But that is our current reality, and like, so why is everyone else mad about this? Why are people just now starting to wake because here's another thing that I will say, like, in terms of Taylor Swift, like, she's not really a part of any marginalized group at all, except for being female. But even that, I mean, being a white female, I don't even think that counts at all. So I don't know why they would expect, like, you do realize, like, she's been around for, like, all the other wars, like Somalia going through a famine, Ethiopians going through, like, a war, like, Afghanistan children going through, like, you do know that she's been around for, like, all of these other groups being, like, terrorized and marginalized and all those other words. Like, what makes you feel like either Israeli children or Palestinian children are worth more and deserve more from, let's just be specific here, from Taylor Swift than she's given in the past for any of those other issues? Like, why would this one be more pressing? It's because it's getting more media coverage. Is that what you feel? So media coverage equals, like, human life? Like, no, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. No. The same people who have been caring are the same people who care now. The same people who said nothing when people were like, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. You don't have to talk about the organization. Not the organization who we saw have had a lot of corruption, but, like, let's go back. In Jim Crow, right? There were people who were really dying and who were really segregated against, and that was here in America. And there were people here from other groups: Italian Americans, Indian Americans, Pakistani Americans, Spanish Americans, Latino Americans, white Americans, Jewish Americans. All these groups have all been here, okay? They've all been here. What were they saying then? Nothing. Mom was the word. They said nothing at all. And it wasn't an issue. And that happened here. It was really bad. Remember the church bombing when they bombed, like, 12 black children in a church? Remember that? Did they say anything there? We're like, oh my God, this is so bad. No. They didn't give a shit. They all went on with their lives. That's what happened. We didn't forget. There were people, though, who, when that happened, spoke up. And then when the next thing happened, that was like, oh, this is wrong, they spoke up then too. And now when this is happening with Israel and Palestine, they're still speaking up. It's the same people. It's the same people. And if you haven't noticed, it's those people who also taught their children to speak up, okay? That's why you have a generation of young fucking people right now who are speaking the fuck up because their parents taught them to speak up, because those are the fucking values that we transferred on, because we do not want to have another generation suffering from mass oppression. Oppression. There are some of you who just have never had to face it. You've just never even fucking thought about it. That's the reason that it's so strange here. Just now see people talking about pulling out money from colleges and they want to divest. Oh, I can't believe you said all these things about Israel. It's if you're not talking about the Israel Palestine situation from both sides, like there's just no way to like really take one side and be like unfamiliar of the other. Like both sides are suffering. Both sides are suffering. I wouldn't say that they're suffering equally, but they are suffering. And the ways that they're suffering are very different. They're very different. But they're happening at the same time. And there's never going to be a point where both sides win. So one side is going to have to like lose some stuff. And when we're talking about some stuff, we're just talking about human life and land. So that's some big stuff, but they are going to have to lose it. And that's going to suck. Because there ain't enough resources for everybody. And if you haven't noticed, we cannot share. Sharing is not caring in the West. It's just not how it goes. Somebody has to take all the shit. So I don't know. You don't have to care. I made that video that was like, if you're an American woman, you don't have to care. And I think it's really fucked up because now those women, right, and in all parts of the Middle East, right, they have to watch their women die and they can't do anything. They actually can't do anything. They just have to watch their people be bombed away. And it's really fucked up. It's really fucked up. And the part is that like they might have their children might actually listen to Taylor Swift music and idolize Taylor Swift in some way, or Beyonce. They might idolize Beyonce or either one of these artists. But these are just artists. They're just women, right? Like they don't have to care about PETA. They don't have to care about going to space. They don't have to care about war. They don't have to care about like ice cream. Just no issue has to be important to them. It can be important to you. That doesn't mean it has to be important to them. And that is real privilege. That's what privilege looks like. And that can be really hard for some people to stomach, to sit with. Because it fucking sucks when you are suffering and you're watching someone else thrive. And I feel like that's especially hard for people in the Middle East right now because they really have this like value system based on karma. That's like, oh, you do something wrong and then something wrong happens to you and it's just. But look what's happening now. How do you explain this? How does your religion explain what's happening now? It doesn't. Your religion doesn't explain what's happening now. I don't feel that Palestinian people now or in another life have done something to deserve what they are getting. Because sometimes bad things happen to good people. And that's a part of life. And that is something really difficult to understand, but that's a real thing. Lots of innocent people die all the time. And that's what we're witnessing right now. And that's very sad. It's very sad. But it's also very real. It is just a part of life. And I think it's important to understand where you are and what you can do to bring the most value to your life given whatever your circumstances are. And I think it's probably pragmatic to understand that American women have it better. They live more valuable lives. They just do. Because of the protections and the benefits and the privileges afforded to American women. That's just how it is. And you can be jealous and you can be mad. You can hate, scowl. You can make mean comments on the internet. You can hack, okay? You can call American women ugly and fat and all, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's the real tea. That's something to think about. Because there's no amount of pretty tokens that are going to save you from war. There's no amount of pretty tokens, pretty privilege, money even, that's going to save you from genocide. The Middle East is going to have a real war. And we're all going to watch it. And a lot of people are going to die. A lot of people who look just like Kim Kardashian are going to die. And that's not funny. No part of that is funny. And if there were any celebrity that you should be getting to speak up, it should probably be her. You guys are coming for the wrong celebrities here. When we're talking about similarities, okay, if it looks like a fucking duck, it probably is one. If it looks like a Middle Eastern person, that's because it fucking probably is one. Why are you calling on a Black American and a WASP to fight your battles? Go to your own community. No shade, but for real.